one of the biggest problems is like, are people clear about the outcomes they're trying to drive and what metrics they're using to measure that? And you think about where the technology is going from an activation perspective, and it's less about, okay, you're the best at picking the keywords and making bid changes every 30 minutes. You're now more feeding the platform an outcome to go and optimize towards. So if you're not clear on the outcomes and the KPIs that you're using and the components of that, like that model doesn't have an outcome to go after either.
And the enterprise view of those outcomes, right? Like that's a word that you mentioned. We have clients who have multiple selling channels, right? They're selling on e-com, they're selling in store, sometimes they have a wholesale business. We need a view of all of those things in order to drive those outcomes and think about those outcomes holistically. Because if you're relying on a pixel only, that only has a view into digital, which means it's only going to be driving e-com.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious what you guys are experiencing on your clients around the actual digital experience. Because sometimes we see, even if media and finance are aligned, the digital experience team only cares about digital outcomes because that is the KPI that they've been given to judge their success. Mm-hmm. And now you have media teams driving to a digital experience, but are optimizing towards enterprise outcomes, but they're passing a consumer to a team that now has the responsibility to get that consumer further down the funnel who has a different set of objectives that is online only.
Yeah, I mean, something we've talked about is like this idea of like, what is the role of the digital experience team and the web team, right? Is it to drive conversions? And that's their job, drive conversions. And, for some organizations, I think that's true, but I think the idea is that there is value in driving a consumer to the store, right? Maybe that consumer is going to purchase more. Maybe there's this idea of impulse purchasing. Maybe it's a bigger basket, right? And I think giving that data point and kind of tying it back to that core central metric is what allows that conversation to occur so that the team holistically can make that decision, right? And also, I think, test into that decision. Like, can a digital site experience convert people in store? Like, perhaps, but, I think that needs to be validated, and then you can kind of give them that decisioning as a holistic organization to kind of have that conversation.
It's definitely a pattern I'm seeing as an opportunity across some clients where 60, 70, 80% of the business happens in a store or in a call center. Right. And so the media teams are now having better capabilities to understand the online plus offline. So they optimize the media that way, but then the site experience teams, like their number one job is reduce friction in the online conversion flow and are only focused on that versus kind of in alignment with the media teams to say a conversion can happen in multiple ways. So let's take a wider aperture to like the data we're looking at, what we're optimizing the experience for and for whom to have that wider lens.
A great example like from a client that I've had is like store locator pages was like this, the digital team just did not care at all about store locator pages and like until they figured out like, oh, like what a clear sign of intent, right? Like I'm trying to visit your store and buy something, but the differing goals, but so you are seeing teams come together around that full like experience. It's like, oh yeah, store locator page, like this should probably be a really great experience that has like good information on it, right? Not just hours and map, right?
But you need the right measurement tools and methodologies to tell the story to that digital team to show the value of the store locator page. So that's why it comes back to
because it has very low conversion.
Exactly.
Right?
It's got very low last touch ROAS.
And the metrics that they're used to defining success on aren't holistic enough. So having a more comprehensive view that's frequent enough and that's actionable enough can get everyone on the same page.
I think as part of, as organizations move hopefully further away from last click and adopt a more robust, sophisticated measurement, unified measurement, and move dollars up the funnel, what I'm observing is the need to tie more of the media strategy, the creative, the audience targeting, and for that to be more of like a seamless experience from the ads that they're seeing, whether on television, CTV, or digital ads, and then they come to the site and it's a mixed experience. What they were observing in these upper funnel media, and then they come to the site and it's a disjointed experience. I think it's forcing the question of like, okay, now we're actually seeing real enterprise marketing return for these upper funnel media, and we're asking why is it performing the way it is, and it's begging the question around broader media strategy and site experience and store experience, because now we're all of those things need to nestle neatly together.